Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
To end with some fun, Jay, throw it to you because you have
hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches. One gotta go. No, I'm just joking. We'll never do that on our damn show.
Yikes.
No, me and Peter were talking about his Jeep earlier today and how like Jeeps could take on anything because there's metal so thick on them and they don't like get dented up. And it made me think about my first car I've ever had. And I was like, what is my dream car? So, Kevin, I'm going to kick it to you. What is your first car you ever had? I hope it was a real piece of crap, and if anything was really wrong with it, tell me all about it.
First car was a 2010 Chevy Cobalt. Now, it was a used car, but it only had like less than 30,000 miles on it because it was a rental car in Florida, then somehow got up to Ohio. Someone owned it for a very short amount of time, maybe a month, and then it went back to the dealership as a used car. It was actually what I thought was well put together, but I'm not saying anything against GM, but at that time, there were a lot of GM cars that were going through recalls. And my Chevy Cobalt went through recalls several times. So
at least those are free to have fixed.
Yes. And that was and General Motors always made sure to take care of you, and they took care of you the right way. The problem with the car was it started to stall out, I guess. And there were two scary moments with my first car. And I know people always have rough experiences with their first car, but both times I was driving on 90 East coming back from basically the Ashtabula County side of things. One drive came from Pennsylvania through Ashtabula back home, and another one was just from Geneva, Ohio, where the Spire Academy, the Spire Institute for Olympic Training is in Northeast Ohio.
So 1982 Ford Granada was my first car, and 82 was the only year I think they made this one. They used to be like a big, do you remember like the Ford LTDs, like the big square boxy cars? That's kind of what a Granada was, and they made it smaller like this one year. Whatever, it was transportation. The first car that I actually bought myself was a 1985 it was a Buick Century Limited, and that thing was the most comfortable car to drive ever. The front seat was a split bench. It was basically like you're sitting in a sofa, like a big cushy couch, and the thing had a 3.8 V6, so it had a lot of power. It didn't look like it did, but it had a lot of power, so that was a lot of fun. My dream car is pretty close to what I'm driving now. I've got my 2016 Wrangler. I think if I could have any car I'd want to go back and get a 95 Wrangler. That was the first Wrangler I had. And it was a really basic Jeep, but it was just, because it was so basic, it was just so much fun. So there you go.
So Kevin, you were on a death trip there from Geneva.
Yeah. Car kind of stalled out, and as we're all driving the same speed, keeping our distance. It was raining a lot on 90, and a car stalled out, and it spun off the road. It absolutely spun off the road. And I thought I was going to flip. I started going to the right because I was in the far left lane. I started going to the right. Luckily, I was able to correct a little bit, and then the car went all the way to the left into the grassy area, and I slid through a bunch of mud, all of that. People were stopped at the exit close to where I was at, and they started running across the highway to see if I was okay. And the second time was coming back.
Wait, have you ever done donuts in a parking lot before? No. In the snow for fun? I didn't think so. Go on. Sorry, that's an inside joke with me and Peter right now. Kevin didn't know what to do, Peter.
Yep, overcorrected.
Yep, and he kept spinning. Before the show, we were talking cars, and we were talking how people should go do donuts in the parking lot so that when they start spinning, they actually know what to do because you're supposed to turn the opposite way or whatever.
Yeah, best thing you can do is snowy, icy weather. If there's a big open parking lot, just go take your car and just start sliding on purpose just so you can figure out, so you get used to how to handle it. You know how your car is going to react.
Yeah.
It's just Yeah, we had a nice long conversation about that before you joined.
Well, what's your dream car, Kevin?
Dodge Charger. Cherry red Dodge Charger.
Cherry red Dodge. What year? Like new, old?
Like the newer style when they brought the Charger back.
Yeah. That's what I'm
But-
saying. Not like the Fast and Furious Charger.
No, but I mean, if I got one of those and it was cherry red, I'd be fine with that too.
Nice. Yeah, my first car, if you thought yours was scary, it was like, I think an 81 Jetta,
Oh, jeez.
brown with brown interior. It had a moonroof, and I almost swore.
Did it
I
leak?
kid you not. You had to crank it. It was like a circle, and you had to like a window. It
I
had
know
to
what you're
crank the
talking
moonroof.
about. I'm old
It
enough.
had the goofiest jingle when you open this car. But that's just the goofy things about it. If you hit the gas too hard, the throttle would stick. So I would have to brake as hard as I could, put it in neutral, turn the car off as quick as I could, run out, pop my hood, loosen up the throttle thing, and go on with my business. When I would get to stop signs, I would have to put it in neutral and idle it myself because it would stall out, and then I would have it was like a stiff shift. And if I didn't give it the right amount, it'd just be like meh, 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 meh. And it had no exhaust, but it's called a cherry bomb, I think. If you know what that is, Peter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this thing went as fast as a go-kart, but sounded like a muscle car. And it was so ridiculous. I don't know how I ever got a girl to go in that car. My dream car is probably a souped up H1 Hummer. Like, I just want one of those.
Oh, the original Hummers? Yeah.
Yeah. But if you ever seen them, like sometimes they get the interior, it looks all super nice and fancy and stuff.
I had a
What are
friend
you
of
looking
mine.
at, Kevin?
A friend of mine had one of those back in
What was that?
late '90s. Had one of those H1 Hummers.
I think Lincoln's banging one of his toys off the ground. I just heard like this banging noise off to the side, and he just likes to make noise and just hit his toys off the ground.
Well, I thought you saw like a ghost. You were just like, whoa.
No, but like because I have my headphones in, like sounds are like kind of like around me, and I don't exactly know. But he's probably got his plastic bat from one of his toys, and he's just hitting off just like Bam Bam from the Flintstones, just hitting it off the ground.
But Peter, I was going to tell you the first car I owned, because that Jetta was like kind of the family car for me and my brothers, is a 93 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham with airbag suspension, the same kind of like front seat. Like it was like a couch.
Oh yeah.
I love that thing so much. I would I just throw my friends the keys. I'm like, I'm going to go sit in the back seat. That thing's like a full-size couch back there. I'm cool. Oh, I love that thing. I definitely put a huge audio system in it.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
When I was in college, real quick, when I was in college, my Century, that Buick Century I had, I got rear-ended and it was in the shop. My dad's business partner at the time had an old, I believe it was a 79. It was a 79 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. And that
boxy,
huge air ride suspension, level ride. So if you piled a bunch of people in it, it would just jack up the back. Oh yeah, yep, it would level out. 30-gallon gas tank. Thing got like 8 miles to the gallon. It was a 7-liter V8 in that thing, and you could probably.
I had a 350.
Yeah, and you could
350
probably
or 351. I forget what their exact spec was.
You could probably fit about 10 bodies in the trunk of that car. The car was huge. And it was so much fun to drive.
12-inch speakers in the back of my trunk.
I believe it.
All right, Exhibit. My ride.
Oh, that was before Exhibit was pimping rides, bro. That was way before Exhibit.
I know. Maybe you should have been hosting that show. I don't know.
Well, you know something? I know for a fact every person on that show, not one of them were an actual mechanic. They were all actors.
I believe it.
Did
you see what they did to some of
Sorry
those
to
poor
bust
cars?
you there, pimp your ride, but one of my buddies was a friend.
It's reality television. It's reality television, but it's not actual reality. So
right.
Yeah.
And like they messed up people's cars and stuff like that. Was not good.
I know. They did.
It was a sweet show to watch though back in the day. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, but you got an aquarium in your 1990 Honda Accord, so it's sweet.
Is that all the fish probably died in days later?
SNL this past weekend actually did the only reason like Pimp My Ride's on my mind is because they did this skit. They're basically a new version of the digital shorts that Andy Samberg used to do.
Mhm.
They have this group of 3 guys. They're like a comedian group, and I think they're also like writers on the show. So they did like a Pimp My Ride, like they were bringing it back type thing, and it was for their janitor in their building. So like everything like had like mop buckets, and so it was, if you get a
It was
chance,
all SNL'd up.
I'll
Yeah,
look,
it was
I'll
all-
look that one up. That sounds
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good.
look